Welcome back to Grassroots Media, and welcome back to this year's edition of the Eddie Spradlen Show, where we cover everything on the field with the Greeneville Green Devils football team. As always, I'm joined here with Green Devil head coach Eddie Spradlen. Coach, how's it been?
Good, man. It's hard to believe it's already this time.
I know, it's already August. Football season's around the corner. School starts tomorrow. I guess the day it'll be released. School has already started today. I mean, the excitement's in the air. You could feel it. It's a warm day. We're on the turf here in Burley Stadium, and I know you're excited. How excited are you for the 2024 campaign?
Oh, really excited about this group of young men that, trying to put together the best football team we can put together right now, and really been working hard to this point. But a group that's got a lot of potential in it, and just gonna have to work day by day to try to get to that full potential by the time we get to the playoffs.
And I know we talked about it right before we went on here. Great turnout this year. I think you mentioned you had near 75 players on the team this year. That's a wonderful turnout for a high school team. And I know you got a lot of players to go through on here. You got a lot of returning players, a lot of big names that you can already see going through the top in Carson Quillen, Zayden Anderson, Thomas Lawler, Isaac McGill, and some of those. So just go through the roster, talk about who you expect the most out of this year, and just go through and name each one of them and what you think they'll bring to Green Devil football this year.
All right, man. First off, we'll just go numerically down through here. Start at the top with Zayden Anderson, a big-time player who's going to make a lot of plays on both sides of the ball. When you talk about him, he's going out there on the edge. He's going to be one of the most electric players in this area. Catches the ball really well. Explosive when he catches it. He's a state champion in multiple things. So really excited about what he's going to do for us. And he's going to step on there and be a starter at corner as well. As good as he is at receiver, he's probably as good at corner. So really excited about him. Thomas Lawler, a returning all-region player at corner. Has had a really good summer. A really explosive guy. We got to try to get the ball in his hands some on offense if it's running a deep ball, or he's had a really good summer at running back, so really excited to see what he can do. Isaac McGill coming in for his senior year is a guy who started for us last year at safety, did a really good job returning there for us this year. He's going to also help us out at receiver. Also be a guy that we expect to be a leader on this football team. Cole Franklin is another super athletic guy that's going to help us out on the edge and in the secondary. One of the most athletic guys on this football team. It says a lot when you say that about him, but because the different guys that are on this team, but really explosive. Played some backup roles last year, really trying to work in there as a starter this year, so excited about what he can do. Taryn Clarity's a kid who's you turn on a film, you're going to see him making plays, so he's a guy who's going to help us on both sides of the ball, play, be a starter at on offense, really electric when he gets the ball in his hands, explosive. Expect a really big year from here.
Young guy
from
too.
him. Yeah, he's a sophomore, so excited about him. That's a lot of one thing about the skill kids. We got a lot of skill kids that are underclassmen. Really excited about that. Noah Murray, the kid is going to come in. He's working at inside linebacker, competing as a starter right now. So really excited for him. A two-sport athlete, really good baseball player, stepping in there, physical guy. Really need him to be physical for us at the inside at linebacker. Then you go Caden Ball. Guy had a big season for us last year in some backup roles, and stepped in there, had came in there as not a starter, but during some meaningful time for us last year. And when the offense wasn't moving good, he stepped in there and gave us a little different look, which was good. So we got a lot of meaningful reps. Right now he's penciled in as a starter, but he's got a lot of competition at that, and so he's working to be that starter at quarterback, a guy who really runs the football well. So looking for big things for him this year. CJ Reyes, last year we had an injury at offensive line. We moved him he played the majority of the year at right guard. He started off last year at tight end, and we moved him in there, did a really good job. He was all-region honorable mention player. This year he's going to start at defensive end for us, so really excited about him. He's a guy that's going to also contribute at tight end for us, so really excited about that. Next would be Jervis Moore, is a guy who's super athletic on both sides of the ball. He can make plays for us. He's going to be out there at receiver. Big, long, athletic, can run good. And also, he's going to compete for an outside linebacker job. We're really excited for what he's done. Been a really good vocal leader this summer. If you know high school kids now, it's hard to get those guys that'll be vocal, so he's done a good job in that role. Colton Smith is a big tight end body who probably one of the best hands on the team, catches the ball really good, hard to tackle when he gets the ball. He's about 6'2" or 3", and he's about 235 pounds right now, so we got to get the ball in his hands, let him make good big things happen. Also going to help us on the defensive side of the ball as well. Jackson Nichols, the guy who moved in here at the start of our training camp after when we got back after the dead period, so transferred here from Florida, a guy who's going to contribute for us on defense as well as receiver, just trying to learn how we're going to do things and our system, but look for him to being on the field somewhere this year for sure.
He's got a nice last name.
Yeah, for sure. Then you got, that we're only going to be as good as this guy can take us. Is Carson Quillen, a big-time player, all-state returner. You don't get multiple all-state guy for both, Tennessee football coaches and sports writer. So you don't get a bunch that are both of those, and he was that. And, Virginia Tech commit in baseball, but he's as that big as a football player, I believe. And, he's going to get some of those looks as well. But, he's really worked hard. He's about up to 200 pounds, so really excited to see what he can do for us offensively. Let him tote the mail for us as many times as he can tote it for us. But really excited for what he can do for us. It's going to be, he's a returning team captain for us. So really excited for a big senior year for him. Kane Ricker, sophomore quarterback who's competing for that starting job, has had a really good offseason. He's grown in the offense. Also will contribute some on defense for us as well. Really does a good job, kind of like Kate talked about. Caden, really good runner with the football, so really explosive guys at quarterback and running back, which is nice to see. Lacrease Parkey is a kid who's really going to step in there and help us as a backup role right now at receiver. Really excited to see what he can do for us. Catches the ball really well. Jack Lister is a kid who, sophomore linebacker, really had a big night the other night against Daniel Boone. Stepped in there trying to work himself into as a starter at linebacker. Really good young player. Excited to see what he does in the future. Really excited what he's going to do this year. William Woolsey's a guy who's does everything the right way, does it hard, and is going to contribute on both sides of the ball, offense and defensively. A really good blocker out on the edge. He's also stepped in and doing some punting stuff for us, so really excited to see what he does as well. Jude Dyer is competing on both sides of the ball for a starter, especially on defense. Had a big night against Daniel Boone as well. Tackles really good, runs really good, gets to the football as good as any kid we've got on the football team. And if he gets there, he's going to make the tackle. So really excited for what he's going to do for us.
If he's as explosive as he was on the soccer pitch, then I expect big things out of him once he gets in on the football field.
And he's got some nasty about him. He's not going to take nothing from nobody. He's physical. So really excited about what he's going to do for this football team. Quinn Wright is a sophomore young guy who's working for us on both sides of the ball, receiver, defensive back. He's going to continue to get better, which is going to be good. Shane Cook's another guy who has got a ton of ability, been kind of banged up and injured and sick some this summer. He's kind of behind a little bit. He's working in there. Really excited what he can do once he's full speed. And, he's a guy that contribute on both sides of the ball for us. Then you talk about this guy, Drew Armbrister.
Another big player coming
big-time player, all-state player coming back. Really senior leader for us. He's going to help us off. Talk about him is going to be the brains of our defense. He gets everybody lined up. Really excited. He got hurt early in that first quarter of the semifinal game. It really hurt us defensively not having him in there. A big-time player like himself, but he's a guy who kind of like Carson. We're just going to be as good as he leads us on defense. So really excited for a big senior year for him. Cole Smith, a big athletic guy, basketball player who coming to his own in football right now. He's a starter at receiver for us, about 6'2", really runs, physical guy, knows what the offense really good. Also going to contribute a defensive back for us as well. Parker Quillen, young kid, he's probably our third quarterback right now. Guy who does everything the right way, works hard, does a good job being a leader for those younger guys. So really excited for his future.
Related to Carson?
Carson's cousin. So
okay.
It's always good to have another Quillen in there for sure. Maddox Bishop, really big time baseball player who is just learning how good a football player he really is. He's another guy who's going to probably be a starter in the defensive backfield for us, probably strong safety. Another guy, he is going to be one of those guys in the mix for us at running back. Had some big carries for us last year. Then he had a hamstring knee injury that kind of hampered him for a lot of the season last year, but really excited for his junior year. Next, you got Samuel Gurley, another soccer kid who we talked into coming out here and is going to do all our kickoff and field goal stuff for us. A guy who can line up and put it in the end zone on kickoff. So we're really excited about that. And when we got somebody that can kick it deep, it really helps our defense. When you got to go 80 yards, it's hard to go 80 yards consistently against us. So really excited to have him as a part of our football team.
I was wondering who would come out as a kicker and punter this year with Quentin Brandon leaving, but with somebody like Samuel Gurley coming in, you've got a big leg to fill that role.
Yeah, he's got a really big leg. Excited about him. A kid who just been out here for a little bit, so still learning everything, but hopefully have a big year for us. Dion Phipps is another kid who is a junior, young guy who is going to play in the secondary for us and as a backup running back as well. Caden Burbank, a backup defensive end, big physical guys, continue to get better at DN. So Siler Lewis has really come on and had a really good job in the backfield for us, a sophomore, really good baseball player as well. Really excited about him in the future. Braylon Kidwell has had a really good spring and had a good summer. Going to be one of those backup corners. Really good basketball player as well, so excited to see him this year. Mikey, I'm going to hammer that last name, so I'm going to let you give a shot on that, see how you go on that one. Let's see what, your radio voice on that one right there.
Whew, that's a tough one. Mikey Muanja.
Yeah, Muanja. So, Mikey is a guy who is a basketball player. Saw him, he come out, transferred here, moved here kind of late in football. He kind of come out for a little, and then he went to basketball. And as a freshman, I'm watching him, and I said, man, you need to get back out on the football field because they couldn't get down on the court in the JV games. He's still it every time, flies around, is learning how to play football. I think he'll be able to contribute for us somewhere this year, but, continue to get better. Excited to see him. E.J. Feazel's a freshman. We look to have a good year for us on the JV team. Hayden Moore's another kid who has come in here and done a really good job. He's a really good wrestler, real physical. Had a really good scrimmage against Daniel Boone. He's going to come, as one of them guys that, there's a lot of competition at linebacker. One I'm really excited about. A lot of young guys compete for those jobs as well. So he's one that's going to step in there and do another good job. Amir Knight's another freshman. This long, athletic, got a chance to be a good football player, also a good basketball player. Elijah Dabney is a senior linebacker who's going, is contributing to try to get some playing time at linebacker for us. Michael Hurst is a young freshman, skill guy, got a ton of talent, catches the ball really good. Also is a guy who is going to be probably our backup field goal and PAT kicker. So really excited what he's going to do. Joey Hickerson's another freshman, a kid who flies around on defense. middle school, played some DN, but we moved him to linebacker when he got here. So excited to see what he'll do for us on the JV team. Cortez Perez, a kid who hurt his foot, had to have surgery on his foot during spring practice. He's just working back into it. He's getting close to being able to practice again, but really excited to see what he can do once he gets back out here. Trey Castile's another young skill kid who is going to contribute on the JV team. Caleb Smith, a kid that moved in here from Maine this summer.
Maine?
Yeah, moved in here at the end of the school year and went to Greeneville Middle. He's a freshman who linebacker kid, excited to see what he can do for us on the JV team. Weston McGill, another soccer player that, big, physical, really working hard, does everything you ask him to, really love how he works. Can compete for some time at linebacker for us as well. Eric DeMarco's a kid who moved in here from Oak Ridge. Didn't play football last year there, but moved here. Wants to be a part of the football team. Excited to see him on the team. Matt Hall's another linebacker, freshman kid. I think he was their defensive player of the year in the middle school last year. Really excited for him for this JV team. DeAndre Mann, a big kid, linebacker kid, might play a little DN for us on the JV team. Justin Chandler is contributing for us on offense and defense. Big, strong, physical kid. He's a 300-pound bench kid. Is going working for some playing time at center and contributing right now and competing for starting defensive end roles. So really excited for what he can do for our football team. Lath Ivy's another kid who's right now starting at right guard for us. Really athletic offensive lineman. Also will be a backup on the defensive end. Baylor Smith, a young kid we're excited about on the offensive line. Probably going to play center for the JV team. Big, strong, physical kid. Lincoln Burrows, a senior, does a great job in the weight room for us. Another 300. He's probably one of our strongest bench guys and squat guys. He's a 500-plus squatter. Really strong, anchoring that O-line at center for us this year. Really does everything right. He's a really 4.0 student. Really excited to see what he can do for us as our starting center this year. Bishop Merriweather, returning all-region player. He's a kid who's got a chance to be a big-time college football player as well as junior offensive lineman. He's done a really good job. He had a really good scrimmage the other night and helping us at defensive tackle. He's big, athletic. He's about 360 pounds that can move. You don't see those type guys, really athletic. Quentin Humphrey is a returning all-region player. I don't know if I mentioned Bishop's another returning all-region player. But Quentin, athletic, played defensive tackle for us last year as a starter. We're probably going to move him to play a little defensive end. He got a defensive end who's 6'4", 275, so going to be a big defensive line. So athletic out there on the edge. Continues to get better. Needs to have a big senior year for us to be successful. Cole McKinney's a guy who's going to be a backup guy in there at defensive line for us, a junior. Continues to get better. Kobe Dobner, really excited about this young guy. He'll be a freshman. Had a big night against Daniel Boone at defensive end for us. Athletic defensive end. He's going to also play some offensive line. Jack DeAngelis, a big kid. He's probably 6'3". Athletic offensive lineman, tight end / wherever he fits in. Freshman kid, also going to get some time at DN for those. Micah Knight is another kid who is in there that does a really good job as a sophomore kid. Kind of unique situation. He's going to play a lot of times. If he's just a JV player, last year as a JV player, he played on Monday nights and practiced with us all during the week, but on Friday nights he's in the band, so he did that. So really unique situation with him. Alex Duckett's a kid who's got to help, junior kid, big 300-pound body who's got to help us at defensive tackle. Had a really good spring practice. He's got to continue to build off out and help us. Duncan Rogers, a guy who was had some injury issues last year, helped us in different roles last year as a freshman, but is back healthy and working on offensive and defensive lines. Brandon Iezzi, another guy who's going to be a team captain for us, another all-region player, should be offensive or defensive lineman of the year in this region. I feel like he should be an all-state on either side of the ball this year. But he's a big time. Had a really good summer, really good off season. He's moving good. He's going to get a lot of attention from. He's picked up a couple different college offers already. Really excited for his senior year. Another guy who's going to anchor that offensive defensive line. For us to be successful, we got to have a big year out of him. Corbin Harris is a kid who had an injury during the spring. Is not out here doing anything with us right now on the field, but he's here every day contributing in whatever way he can help this football team. Hopefully he'll be on the practice field pretty soon. Douglas Blake, a freshman offensive defensive lineman. Blake Bowers is a sophomore, big kid who needs to be he's a strong kid in the weight room, and he's got to take that weight room stuff onto the field. He's a 390-pound kid. We need him to help us on that defensive tackle group to get some more depth there. Caden Cox is a guy who's competing junior lineman, strong in the weight room as well. Contributing right now as a offensive lineman, right tackle, trying to work in there as a starter. Really like to see him step in that role so we can free another guy up to be a starter on just one side of the ball. But got to see him continue to get better. CJ Herkley is a kid who here every day, works hard, going to be a kid who gets some JV work at defensive tackle and defensive end. Dylan Hartman, big 6'2", 315-pound freshman offensive and defensive lineman. He has a chance to probably help us some on varsity at defensive tackle as a backup. Has had a really good night the other night against Daniel Boone, so excited to see what he can do. Dominique Holzer's another kid, a freshman kid, linebacker, running back type kid. Napoleon, his last name I'll let you.
Pacheco.
Pacheco, there you go.
That's a nice name,
Yeah.
Napoleon Pacheco. It rolls off the tongue.
Me on pronouncing some of these names, I struggle. So a lot of those kids, they got nicknames. I just roll with those
That's smart.
nicknames, so it's a lot easier for me to go with that, and they know who I'm talking about. So pronouncing names not one of my fortes for sure, as you can tell. But no, Napoleon is a kid who really had a good night the other night, and that scrimmage can help us at defensive tackle. Big, strong, physical kid. Had an older brother, Christian Freltner, that was a big-time player for us. Really need him to step in that role and contribute to this football team. Zorian Harris has got a chance to start both sides of the football. Had a really good offseason. Another kid who's really strong in that weight room. We practiced one day last week, and one of our coaches said if there's been some big-time schools here watching him practice, he'd have got some offers that day. But it's a kid who got to be a little more consistent for us, but a kid who can be a two-way starter. Love for him to be just a one-way starter if some other kids can step up, but if he has to, he'll be a two-way starter for us. Caden Hershey's a kid who a sophomore lineman, got a chance to step in there and start for us on both an offensive line. He's just got to be a little more consistent, a little more physical at times, but got a bright future in front of him. But really love for him to step up and be a player for us right now. Carter Raby, kid who mostly did a lot of kicking for us last year as a freshman. Now he wants to play some receiver and defensive back, and he's going to do some kicking as well. Weston Wade is a kid who, freshman, is going to be step in there and contributing on both sides of the ball for that JV group. Darian Humphrey is a senior guy who's a really good track guy. Has continued to improve at receiver. Has done a lot better job catching the football. Really excited to see what he can do for us as a senior. Malachi
Mayana.
There you go. He's a freshman, really super athletic kid. Gonna be able to play receiver and defensive backs on the JV team. Preston Maples is be a backup receiver for that as a senior this year, and continued working to get better, get more reps. excited for his senior year. Owen Shaver made some big plays during some 7-on-7. Those guys are going to really help that JV team this year. And Ty Robbins, a kid who moved in here last year from Florida, did a good job on JV last year. Had a really good night the other night in the scrimmage. Is going to work in there, be a big contributor for that JV team at linebacker for us. So excited about him.
And that goes through the whole entire roster down here. You see the coaching staff. I mean, you've got a large coaching staff too. Of course, at the top, head coach Eddie Spradlen yourself, followed by about a dozen names down here under your assistants. Go through the assistants, talk about some of them if they're returning, and talk about some of the new ones.
Yeah. We're going been able, one of the big reasons we've been able to be the program we've been, I've been here, I believe this is going to be year 18. The consistency in coaches has been a big reason for our success. We've had a lot of these coaches. I've been here since Steve McCurry was hired in 2007, been on this staff. Danny Bentley's been on that staff with me that whole time. And some of these other guys have been here for a long time. But, Danny Bentley, he's offensive line coach, one of the top offensive line coaches around. Like I said, he's been here for a long time. Big reason for our success is what he can do for this football program. He's an old school, get after you football coach, and a lot of places don't get that anymore. Mm-hmm. And you're really excited for what he brings to the table for this football team. Chris Brewer's a guy who's been here for a long time, does our video stuff. He can continue to do that. Scott Harris coaches our Rovers, brings a lot of energy to practice, really big part of our defensive staff. Adam Hansel, a local name who's played at South Green, he's coached at South Green. He's been here for a lot of our state championship runs. I think he came in here in like 2013 or something like that. Had different roles on this. Coaches receivers for us. Probably one of the best receiver coaches around. Really gets after it. He's another old school coach that gets a lot out of those kids. Really does a lot. He's a associate head coach for this football team, so does a lot for this football team. Cody Ball's the offense coordinator. He's going really don't have a position, specific position, but he coaches. He coaches the quarterback some, helps with the receivers, just goes wherever we needed, but does all our play calling stuff. Casey Jones is a defensive line. He coaches defensive end, special teams coordinator. A great man who is a great role model for all these men. Don't get much better than him. Roger Gillespie, another great man. Green Devil for life. Mm-hmm. Cody Ball, Green Devil for life. Both those guys. Went to school here, really means a lot to them to be a part of this program. Broderick does a great job with our inside linebackers. He does make sure, and he does a good job with just relationships with our players and big part of our staff. Eric Simpkins is our quarterback coach, really detailed in what he does, a big part of our strength and conditioning, our speed development. Really does a good job. Glenn Evett, we're fortunate to get a full-time athletic trainer. He don't show up at 2 o'clock when we start practicing or lifting. He's here every morning at 8:30 during the school year, and he's here to do treatment throughout all those guys, and he's here till the last guy leaves every day. So a big part of our success and getting those guys back out on the field. Bill Bearfield, big part of our strength and conditioning, helps out with athletic training as well, and does the big reason for our nutrition, what we do for nutrition for our players. He oversees all of that. Mike Iezzi is a defensive tackle coach, really contributes a lot to what we do defensively. Long time college football coach, and so really big part of our defensive staff. Trevor Wright, another Green Devil for life. He's a guy who was a big-time player for here, had a big-time career at UTC, has been able to be on our staff for a long time, or the last few years. And, when he wasn't here, he's hanging out around here and doing stuff with us. So really excited to have him, full-time the last couple of years. Last year for me to turn over to all the defensive backs to him was big for me, just in my role. But he does a better job than I do out there coaching those guys. So really excited to having him as a part of this staff. Tom Wright's our team chaplain. Had a son go through here that was a big player. Has been, his team chaplain then. He's always stayed a part of this program, and really excited for what he does for our players. Kenny Holt is another guy who went to school here, Greeneville for life. Played for Coach Sorrells back in the day, and another guy that's helping out with the linebackers. David Crawford has been on some of our championship staffs. Went to take a college job for a couple of years. Coached at Bearden last year, and then he's wanted to come back here, and he's going to coach our running backs. Really good job in what he brings to offense and game plan and film study. Really excited to have him on staff. Ashley Bell is another full-time athletic trainer that helps with us. Is right now going to help with the middle school some as well. And then we've been able to hire Devin Dye. Played here 3 years. We're on 2 state championship teams. He's starting offensive lineman for us for 2 years on those on those state championship teams at center. Transferred and played his senior year at South Green, and then he's been he's coached at some, I think, middle school. He's coached at the high school for South Green. He's been over at Cherokee. Then they changed his student teaching location. It's here, and we said, man, why don't you come out here and coach with us if we're going to be doing your student teaching here. Has been really helped us on the offensive line with Coach Bentley, another guy. You got 5 guys there. He's got another set of eyes to help Coach Bentley. It's been a good situation for him. But one of the top staffs around, it's not anything that I do. It's what those coaching staff, they do all the coaching and do all that stuff. So really excited about that group for sure.
So we called upon every name on this sheet of paper now, but I want to talk about the big names. We've talked about Carson Quillen. We talked about Zayden Anderson. We've talked about Caden Baugh, Drew Armbrister, Lincoln Burrows, and Brandon Iezzi. Those are some of the names that I think you said you expected the most out of this year. Who are some of the other names that you think can be breakout stars that you expect to make a name for themselves this year going forward?
Offensive line, obviously, Bishop Merriweather's another one that you got to make sure you throw him in that first group. He's going to be a 3-year starter, and that says a lot for him as a junior. He started for us halfway through the season as a freshman. Really excited to see what he done. And, in the scrimmage, in the practice, he's been more physical this year. He's about 6'4", 360. So, and he's athletic and can move. So he's going to be a big time player for us. Really excited for him. Taryn Clarity, he's going to have a breakout season, I feel like. He's a guy who gets the ball in his hands offensively. Big things are going to happen. Explosive, runs really good. I expect another one who had a big year last year, all-region player, is when you talk about Thomas Lawler. He's a kid who's had a big year for us at corner last year, and you got if not the best, you got 2 of the best corners around with them 2 out there. You can play man coverage, and they're going to lock those guys, whoever they're going against, lock them up. So really excited about those guys out there on the edge. Then when we need to have a big year from Drew Armbrister. We talked about him. You mentioned him earlier, but we got to have somebody else. We got 2 guys that's got to step up at linebacker. Noah Murray, Jervis Moore, Jude Dyer, somebody out of that. Jack Lister, Big Hayden Moore, somebody in that group of guys. They've all had big fall camp so far. Somebody's got to emerge as that starter. So really excited about that competition at linebacker. Zorian Harris, another guy we mentioned that is got to step up and have a big year for us. Quentin Humphrey's another guy that needs to have a big year. Really excited for him. And another breakout guy, another sophomore, I feel like is going to have a big year at receiver for us, is Cole Smith, a kid who is going to do all the right things, runs really good, big body. He's probably about 6'2", and probably close to 200 pounds, runs really well. And Colt Smith's another guy. Needs to be a little more physical, but probably got the best hands on the team, runs really good. 6'2", 235 pounds at tight end. We got to get the ball in his hands and let big things happen. He's hard to tackle. Those tight ends are open a lot, so we need to really have a big year out of him. But like you said, it's the big 3, and another one in there is Isaac McGill. He's got to have a big year for us. Really a lot of pass breakups last year. I've told him I need to see them pass breakups be more interceptions this year.
Big, tall frame out there,
long,
safety too,
athletic.
6'3".
Yeah, gets to the ball well, breaks on the ball good. But those big three, you got to have. Going to be those three are team captains with Drew Armbrister, Brandon Iezzi, but expect big things from Carson Quill. And big year, senior year. Football means a lot to him. Had a big time year last year for us. I felt like last year he's deserving to be a Mr. Football finalist kind of guy.
I was going to lead into next.
He's got to be an early candidate for this. He needs to have a big year carrying the football. And, as good as he carries the football, we got to get the ball in his hands out there on the edge, catching the ball as well. Last year started the year off, had 3 receptions against I think Tennessee High. Then he had another one against Dobbins Bennett, and really explosive when he catches the ball as well. But like you said, I think he's an early candidate for Mr. Football if you're doing preseason stuff, and he's a preseason All-State guy, and really need to have a big year from him. Excited, he's worked hard. He's, like I said, he's about up to 200 pounds. That's probably 15 pounds heavier, and how explosive he was last year. Feel like he's more explosive right now, and really excited for a big senior year for him.
And then another change too. You've got new leadership under center. You've got Caden Ball now, who you said was your starting quarterback, now that Corbin Cannon has graduated. So now you've got a new quarterback in there. It's always different when you have a new quarterback running your system. That's always a storyline going into the year whenever you present a new quarterback onto the field. What do you expect out of your quarterback this year when you start week 1?
Well, right now I feel like I got 2 quarterbacks that I can win with on Friday nights with, Caden Ball, and then you step in there with Kane Ricker, a sophomore. Kane steps in there. He's going to be the same situation Caden was in last year. He's trying to take that job from Caden. Caden's trying to say the job's him. So, they're competing for that job right now. Caden's got the front runner for it right now. But both of those guys have really worked hard in the off season in the weight room. But those guys, if you're going to be a quarterback on this football team, you got to be able to lead the football team for us to be successful. So both of those guys stepping into that role. Caden's done a really good job trying to step in there and do that. Both has continued to improve throwing the football. We've improved from 7-on-7 to going live against somebody when it means a little more. So really excited to see both of those. And for us to be successful, if Caden's a starter, Kane's got to be in there pushing him every day, because for us to be successful in the long run, to play the football games we want to play, you better have 2 guys that you can count on. Because quarterbacks in this offense, you're going to run the football. Like I mentioned with both of them before, those are really good running quarterbacks. And Caden, stepped in that role and ran a little the ball for us more at quarterback when he came in there last year, and that's what you get from Kane too. He's explosive when you get the ball in his hands. Either one of those guys, if they're not the starter at at quarterback, they could be starters somewhere else for us. At receiver somewhere. They're explosive with the ball in their hands. So. It's a good competition. Competition just makes everybody better.
That's true.
So really excited for both of those to compete, and going to treat both of those guys like starters and get the most out of both of them. But really expected a big year at quarterback from Caden and Kane, whatever role either one of them play in. If it's starter, backup, whatever, expect both of them to have big years for our football team.
For more than 30 years, Tommy's Plumbing has served customers in East Tennessee with licensed and professional plumbing services. From installing your new faucet to replacing your existing piping system, our team at Tommy's Plumbing is trained to handle the job with professionalism, attention to detail, and integrity. By offering warranties on most products installed by our technicians, Tommy's Plumbing stands behind our work, ensuring that your plumbing needs are not only met, but that your problem is solved for the long term. When you need reliable and professional plumbing service, Tommy's is the only call to make. So give us a call today and let us show you the Tommy's difference.
We've talked about the staff. We've talked about what you expect out of the players. Let's dive into the schedule a little bit and let's look at that. Same schedule as last year, just different home and away. So you start the season here at home against Tennessee High, and you follow again with a home game against Dobbins-Bennett. You go on the road for your first district game of the year with Cherokee. Then you go on the road again for that ever-important game against Alcoa on Thursday night, which a lot of eyes will be on. And then you get a third straight road game when you travel to Morristown West. You come back home for a district game against Volunteer, and then you have 2 straight road games at Sullivan East and at Granger, which are both district opponents. And then your last game here at home, which will be senior night, will be against Northview Academy. So talk about your schedule a little bit. I know it's the same one as last year, just different venues now. Who do you expect to give you the toughest test? And talk about the conference outlook a little bit.
I'm first off, who's a knucklehead that put that schedule together?
I don't know.
And how the region schedule's been set by, TWS the Blaze stepped in there and set your region schedule. I really wouldn't. I'd like to space some of them non-region games out and put a couple region games earlier in the year, but that's how it's been set by TWS the Blaze. So those first 2 games, those are tough openers. Then you get a conference game and a much improved Cherokee team that's continued to get better. Then you got to go on the road to Alcoa on a Thursday night. It's going to be an electric atmosphere, and they're 15 state championships in a row, is it like, or something? So
it's something insane.
Return really good players there, and they got the big tight end who's committed to Michigan. So anytime you can play in that environment against that top football team, you're going to see what you're made of. We had a knockdown drag out with them last year. Kind of expect the same thing. So really excited about the opportunity. And then after you play them, you're going to have a much improved Morristown West team who continues to get better each year. Got a lot of returning for them, so they're going to be a team that's going to contribute for their region championship. But at the end of the day, we play those games to make us better football team, so we want to be our ultimate goal. We want to play for a state championship, but our main goal that we're focused on right now, we want to be Region 1 4A champs. And to do that, you got to go through some really good football teams. And Northview battled everybody last year, a new opponent in the region, but it's going to come down there probably week 11 when you're going to strike it on. About on Halloween against Elizabeth. And so, depending on how it rolls during the season, that could be a good chance for that to be the region championship. So here at Burley Stadium, senior night will be a special night. But our ultimate goal, we want to set you up for the playoffs. We want to be Region 1-4 champs. So really excited about where we can get to that with our football team. We're going to be a way different team than week 11 than we are week 1. We want to continue to get better from week to week. So we're the best football team and the strongest football team. We're going to continue to grind in that weight room that whole season, and we're strong and the best football team we can be by that week 11 game.
The picture I was looking at was cropped. I don't know how I forgot that Elizabethton game. But let's talk about that one a little bit. That's who you end your season with here at home at Burley Stadium on the 31st on Halloween. We know what type of atmosphere you were playing in last year in another big-time game. You could probably expect the same type of atmosphere here at Burley Stadium this year with the same stakes on the line, with the region crown on the line. So going into that game, if the chips play out how you expect them to and you're both playing for a region championship that night, will it be kind of the same excitement level that you had last year going to Elizabethton and playing them?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I think any time that we play Elizabethton, I don't care if both of us are 0-9. When both of us play each other, it's going to mean something, and it's going to be an exciting environment for high school football when these two teams play against each other.
And then I noticed also your bye week isn't until a little later. You play 8 straight games to start the season before you get a bye week. Do you think that'll affect you any, or do you think that'll help you some, kind of getting that bye week right before you go into some tough tests against a very good Northview team and then a very good Elizabethton team right before the playoffs?
This year, last year on our open week, was also our fall break for school, so we were able to pair those together. But this year's our extra week in the TSSAA schedule, so those weeks are different. So we're going to play on a Thursday night on our fall break. Then that open week is going to come, and the players will have a couple of days off. So the open week falls at a good time for us, and it gives us a time to get 3 good practices against to get ready for those probably 2 toughest games we'll have in our region this year. So we can really start preparing for those teams, and it's going to be like you said, a tough 8 weeks, but that open week will come at a good time.
Let's hope the weather cooperates this year. I think everybody was tired of the weather last year with how many postponements and cancellations and move dates we had. Let's just hope we can get every game played on the actual scheduled night of Thursday or Friday night.
For sure. That was probably the most unique situation we've ever been for a football season. Playing two games get postponed or canceled, however you want to say it, and then we had to play 2 games during the week, and just the toll that took on that football team, and a lot of stress on the coaches, the players, parents, everything. But unique year, but had a really good season. But that's last year. Really excited about this year. And you talk about weather. We ain't had rain all summer, it seems like.
And then we've had it
and then
every
for
day
the
for
first
2
week
weeks,
of practice, we've had to deal with lightning a couple times already. We've had to move a scrimmage to the indoor. So it's really been a unique start already, but really hope that we can get those games how they need to be this year.
I hope so too. Last question I have for you at this moment. We are officially, I believe, 18 days away from the first kickoff here at Burley. Well, first kickoff here at Burley Stadium when you kick off against Tennessee High. So at this very moment, what is your outlook on the season?
Really excited. Everybody's excited at this time. Right now, we got that. We've took a puzzle and we've thrown it out on the table, and we're trying to put those pieces together to get the best 11 football players we can on each side of the ball, and those other pieces that are around the edge where they can contribute for us on special teams. So we can get as many people as we can contribute on Friday nights to give us the best opportunity to win and be successful. Right now, our ultimate goal, like I said, we want to play for a state championship, but we're not going to talk about that each week. We want to be Region 1-4A champs, but you can't do that unless you win the first one. We'll 1-0 every week. If we can continue to do that, we got a chance to have a special year.
Great mindset to have, Coach. I think that's about all I've got for you, unless there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, I appreciate you having here.
Absolutely.
And all you all do for high school football, and Greene County is really special, and we're really fortunate to have y'all. And always go Devils, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes,
Go
sir.
Devils. It's nice to be sitting here in Burley Stadium near the 50-yard line and give everybody a nice backdrop with the stadium wrap and the press box. One of the most beautiful places to watch a game, especially if you're a home spectator too. You can see nice downtown Greeneville from afar. But that's all I've got for you. That's all we've got this week. So until next time, Coach, thank you once again, and thank you all for watching this first edition of the Eddie Spradlen Show. Look forward to seeing you next time here on Grassroots Media.